All right, first of all, we're going to take a look at the price ceiling diagram, but we'll start off with some information about what it is so that you can get it into your minds. This comes right from the notes that are associated with this video. So if you don't want to write them down, by all means, just take them from the notes section that you will find associated with this video. Okay, so what is a price ceiling? Okay, a price ceiling is a maximum price control or price ceiling is when the government sets a maximum price below the equilibrium price, which then prevents producers from raising the price above it. I'm going to read this, then I'll explain. The price is capped or stopped by the price ceiling, so it can't go higher, like a balloon trapped inside a room. Okay? So here's the thing. We're going to take a look at the diagram on the next slide, and we're going to start off, of course, with where we always start every story in microeconomics, which is the rule of 11. Okay? And the market equilibrium price is going to be above what the government wants to be charged for whatever product it is. Okay? And so the government's going to get involved and create a price ceiling, which is going to prevent the price from going up to the market equilibrium price. So the market equilibrium price is what the free markets establish, but the government is going to build a ceiling, and that's going to prevent the price from actually getting there, okay? So the price ceiling is actually set below market equilibrium price, right, to prevent, and in this case, it's going to be to look after consumers, the consumer child of the government, right, to guarantee an affordable price, okay? So why do they set maximum prices? Maximum prices are usually set to protect consumers, and they are normally imposed in markets where the product in question is a necessity and or a merit good. In other words, it's something that the government has decided should be available to its people at an affordable price. Okay? Let's take a look at the diagram. And this one starts off where all of them start off, which is the basic demand and supply diagram, or the rule of 11. Right? And we can count this up to make, so you're going to draw this, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, right? But just to go through it again, right? 1, price, 2, 3, 4, 5, quantity, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and the title, market for housing, 11, okay? So there's our rule of 11. Pretty cool, right? So we know that we're starting in the right place, and now we're going to take a look at the question, and we're going to go, oh, wait, the government wants to intervene in the marketplace by producing a price level that is the maximum price level that can be charged for a particular good. And the way they're going to do that is they're going to come into the marketplace and they're going to say, hey, nobody can charge more than, say, that price right there for the good. And that price right there is going to be P2, okay? And as a result of that new price coming into play, and we'll look at a cleaner version of this in a second, we're going to see something that's going to happen very quickly, and that is that there's a new interesting point there at the intercept of P2 and the supply curve, and there's something interesting right there at the intercept of P2 and the demand curve, okay? Because what this would say is that at P2 price level, right, only these many producers would be willing and able to produce, in this case, housing. So this point right here, we're going to label Q2, okay? And then you got this point over here, which is the place where demanders, the amount of demanders or consumers, how many people would be interested in housing if it were lowered from P1 to P2. And we're going to label that Q3. Okay? So let me go to the next slide. And there you have it, much more nicely drawn. Except I did notice that this is Q3 and that's Q2. That's fine. It doesn't really matter which one's Q2 or which one's Q3. What is important, however, is P1, Q1, okay? So the price ceiling went into place. Now, what's happening here? What is happening is the government says that no suppliers of housing can charge more than P2. This happens in a lot of large cities around the world. where housing has gotten too expensive for what the average wage is, okay? And when they do that, something very interesting happens, right? When the market was at equilibrium, it's P1, Q1, and now all of a sudden with the drop in P in the price as a result of the price ceiling, all of these consumers can now afford housing. That's pretty cool. What the government wants is housing to be more affordable to people. So remember, governments have two children, consumers and producers. In this case, with a ceiling, they're taking care of the consumers by lowering the price of housing. Okay. So the demand at P2 would be out at Q. The demand at P2 would be out here at Q2, right? But what about the other child? Well, at P1, Q1, all of these suppliers could actually supply housing. But after the imposition of the price ceiling, only this amount of suppliers can actually produce the housing at the P2 price level. So Q3, P2 is actually where the economy is going to function. Only P2, Q3 quantity of housing is going to be available. Okay? But the demand is out here. So actually, this right here, this represents a shortage of housing, right? So the government actually created a shortage of housing by doing what? By implementing the price ceiling. Now, of course, they knew that was going to happen because nobody in the government's actually dumb. They know that this is going to happen, right? So the government's going to have to come up with a solution, a second intervention, and this is part of the evaluation and analysis that you need to have for your understanding of a price ceiling. And that is that the government's going to have to figure out a way for the market to stop operating at P2, Q3, but actually operate out here at P2, Q2. How are they going to do that? Well, they can only affect supply and they can only affect or demand, supply or demand. Now, how do they move out to this point? Well, they already damaged the suppliers of housing here, so maybe the government could come back and subsidize, if you thought that, you were right, housing, right, by moving the supply curve out there to S1 minus subsidy. That is terrible, but you get the point, right? And now, as a result of the subsidy, the market is actually operating out at P2, Q2, which was the whole goal of the government in the first place. But that was, wait a minute, count those up. 1 government intervention for the price floor, 2 government interventions for the subsidy. That's right. And the government knew that. It created the price ceiling to artificially lower the price down to P2, which was taking care of consumers, and then they knew that they were then going to have to subsidize the housing market by giving money to homeowners in order to make up the shortage, and so that the housing people could, the owners could actually make their houses available at a price level of P2. Okay? So if we really clean that whole thing up, it looks like that. Okay? And that is an excellent look at, I labeled this over here S2, that's fine. You could also label it S1 minus subsidy. Both of them would be great. In your analysis down below, you just have to make sure that you clearly state what S2 represents. Okay? But this diagram right here is the solution to a price ceiling. And it is the double imposition or double intervention of the government into the marketplace. First for the ceiling, and then secondly for the subsidy in order to make up for the shortage that was created by the ceiling. Okay? Rolling along. There you have it. The understanding of price ceiling. Of course, if you need help, check the notes that are associated with this video down below. All right, onward we go.